Well, first of all, if you are watching this now, thank you very much for pressing play. Today is the 16th of April, and we have just released a single for the first time in 35 years, and that's just a very strange thing to say. So, what we're doing today is doing a very informal question and answer session. We can tell you about the record, the single we're bringing out, and maybe a few plans we're doing. We asked you on social media to ask a few questions, and a few questions came in. So,
All the same one.
yeah, so there was lots of name-related questions. It was like we were in Groundhog Day from 35 years ago. So when we obviously used to do interviews in the old days, everybody asked the questions about the names, and you've not let us down with the name questions. So thank you very much for the name questions. It was good. You could have asked so many juicy questions. I mean, why did we split? What was going on there? Why the suits? Why the
Why
grease
did
back
you sing
there?
those
So
songs?
many juicy questions, and we got down to the names. Just fine. That's what you want to know. That's what you're going to get. So, guys, we're releasing a single. Do you want to say something about the single and why we released today?
Yeah, okay. Well, the single is called Goats, and it was recorded. We recorded two versions of it in the summer of 1986. It was kind of initially started by Malcolm, who had a bit of a kind of earworm for a rhythm and a bass riff. And he went out to Radby, and in our little recording studio, him and our sax player, Rick, put down the basic track. And then the rest of us went out and elaborated on that. Now, the reason we're doing this now is that our beloved sax player, Rick, died earlier this year in February. And we felt that it would be fitting. We already got this recording in the can. It's been sitting maturing in the cellar for the last 35 years. It's now kind of reached a nice fruity readiness to be consumed. So we're putting it out kind of as a tribute to Rick. And because we recorded all this music and we just think it needs to be heard. So that's where we are.
There was a plethora of material around about that time. Rick joined the band a little after it started, and there was a chunk of material which, looking back now, is really good stuff. And Rick was instigating stuff, and he kind of re-energized us a bit. And there's some lovely things to come out. And we're starting with Goats, because there aren't enough songs about goats, are there, Carl?
There's not enough songs about ghosts, but we did cover. We did horses as well previously.
And donkeys.
So we have got an animal theme. And we did do a song called Donk. We never recorded. We did actually a song that never made it. Can you remember Donkeys Never Take Pictures
It
of
was
the
donkeys.
Seaside?
Yeah, it was great.
Great
And
title.
we didn't record it.
I don't think we did record it. I don't know, but it's certainly the title.
Yeah, I think I've heard a recording of that somewhere.
Really?
But maybe not.
I mean, I guess just the background on the Rick thing. I guess when Rick passed, it was a big deal for us all, and I guess it got us all talking again, and the four of us, the three here, and Malcolm Tent as well, aka Stuart, came together, and we for the first time in a long time, all four of us started chatting, and we chatted about Rick, and we chatted about our memories from that, we chatted about the band, and then we chatted about all these tracks we had. Because we were kind of halfway through a second album, weren't we? We got recordings. We can't remix them. They're all mastered, but there's a real 80s feel to it. So the plan, I guess, is for us to release this material. There's an album's worth of material that we hope to release in the autumn. So we started with the download single. We hopefully might do another download single. So that's where we are. And and we obviously can't do a performance for the launch. So we thought we'd do something a little bit different, which is these questions that we're going to try our best to answer as honestly and truthfully as possible.
I promise.
Shall I dive in with the first question, guys?
Dive.
And we'll just take this as it comes, and we'll all might answer them. Right, Richard Bell here asked the question: based on whatever logic gave the rise to the name Four Mean Telephones, how would the band have been titled 1,000 years ago, and how would it have been titled today? So, What do you say?
10:23.
Obviously, there's no telephones.
10:23. Hang on, I'm just trying to work out. That's pre-Norman, isn't it?
Well, strictly it's 1021, I think.
Oh God.
Yeah,
no.
so we're talking sort of Danelaw, Saxons. Yeah, so I think maybe it could have been a couple of sticks or something like that.
Well, what about? I'm thinking pigeon. I mean, pigeons were pigeon used. I mean, pigeons were always a form of communication. Probably later on, probably First and Second World War. So would it be slate?
Slate.
Writing things down in a slate, and then maybe you'd have to carry a slate to the next person, though.
It was actually. Is it not just kind of pebbles?
Pebbles.
Pebbles.
4 million pebbles.
Yes.
So is that around? So possibly 4 million pebbles, Richard.
Thank you very much.
Well, maybe not as many as 4 million. The population was much smaller in those days, so I would suggest
100 pebbles.
And I think the question goes on to say, and how would it have been titled today in this age of mobile phones and stuff? Because, of course, when we came up with the original name, phones were tied to the wall with a piece of string. And there were no emails either. So, could be...
4 million letters. No.
Not letters, no.
I still think telephones, and probably more of them.
4 million emails.
200 million. Yeah.
1,000 million telepathic messages, perhaps.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. Well, not the 4 million telephones is a mouthful, of course.
No. Rolls off.
Do you remember actually trying to ring people up at record companies? The hell is 4 million telephones, and just honestly, it wasn't worth it.
It was a long time before I realised it was 6 noughts as well, because I didn't do very well at school. So it was a long time before I realised it was 6 noughts. I was very confused about the whole nought thing. So the second question I've got here, this is a good one actually, by Thurston Crockett. What limiting beliefs did you need to get over to reform and work together again? Discuss. Well, you didn't put a discuss bit, I added that bit.
Well, I think we should explain at this stage that we did reform in 2006.
Yes.
When our album was re-released as a CD, and we got together and we played quite a bit of stuff, including writing some more original stuff. What did we get over to do that? The belief that we'd had our day. No, we hadn't. No,
we certainly hadn't. No.
I think one of the things that made the Telephones a special band was the chemistry. We were such a different group of people from each other, such a diverse bunch of people. And I think when we first got back in the room together in 2006, that chemistry was just there immediately. We just connected straight away.
It was like we hadn't left the room. It was a lovely feeling. And listening to the material again, now, you understand. It's really strange. You kind of understand now what you were doing more than you did at the time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So the greatest difficulty was actually just getting in touch with everyone, I think.
Yeah, I think we just lost touch with people, and obviously I've been living in Ireland for the past 19 years, so I've kept in touch with some people, not other people, and so that was kind of difficult, And I think, but as soon as we got into the room together, it just felt like it was like yesterday. And I think what we did when we first got together, we didn't start rehearsing the whole songs. I think the first couple of sessions we had in the studio was just writing new bits and bobs. So that was quite interesting. We didn't go near any of the old songs. And I remember the second session we did the whole day, and I think we finished off with Stop. And I remember thinking that was a momentous moment because we did a recording, and then we said, well, shall we do a Shrek? And then we did Stop, and it was like, it was amazing. So I think so. Thurston, I think it's a good question, but I think music was there's nothing really to get over. I think just life moved on, and things didn't work out for whatever reason, and life didn't move on. But as soon as we got back together again, it was like the chemistry was still there.
Yeah, we had a heck of a live show as well. We went down to London. We were invited down to London to do a show in that session. It was tremendous. It was just like, because we were very good live. And,
there was a kind of manic energy that took over when we were on stage.
And that was so much the same. That was cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost the suits made a difference as well. I think it was almost like a uniform. It was like a superhero getting the cape on. It was almost like a musical. I remember everyone else was wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and and we'd walk together. We'd put the suits on. And I remember the upstairs in the dressing room before the London show, and then we'd put the suits on almost, and it was almost like, okay, we're getting into character. I think it felt a bit like that. And even today, we put our jackets and and shirts on. It just feels like it's making that little bit of an effort. And I think that made it very special as well. So,
Well, are you saying you're dressed up for this, Carl? Because I've been on the allotment in these clothes, and
And I'm going to a dinner party.
yeah. Well, I'm just I just sit like this all the time.
The local fish bar.
So that's a good question. So over the next one, Caroline Shillings, are you a drop in the ocean or an ocean in the drop, or both? Well, are we dropping the ocean? I don't know what to say about that, really, Caroline. I'm sorry to say. Are we a drop in the ocean? I guess we are. We're all actually. Don't want to get too Russell Brand about this, but we are all drops in the ocean, aren't we? We make up. The ocean is made up of a million drops.
And it's a funny you should say that, because when we very first started the band, we considered calling ourselves the Sea. So
we did one gig, didn't we? The first gig we were called the Sea.
Yeah, the one where everybody left,
except for Jeff,
except for Jack.
Jack Rabelais. Sorry.
Yeah.
Was Jack at that?
He was. He asked to join the band at the end of the gig.
Of further education.
Yeah, we cleared the room apart from Jack Rabelais, and at the end of the gig, he said, I really like that. Can I join the band? So yeah, that's how he came on board.
So aren't you all sorry now for not hanging around? You could have been in the band.
You've all been members.
Haven't gone home.
You could have had no money for 10 years, like us. So, Caroline, thank you for your question. That's very nice of you to do that. No, I guess we are, we're all drops in the ocean, really, aren't we? We'll make up that's, whatever, yeah. Now then, the next one from Lisa Gabriel. Does anybody know?
I remember Lisa, yeah.
I remember.
I don't really.
She was a friend of Tadpole.
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Tadpole, the wonderful, wonderful poet, performance poet.
Tadpole and Company.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I'm getting it. Does anybody know where my copy of the first album is? I've last seen the Branston School.
Oh.
Lisa, have you looked under the settee? Because most things are under the settee. Have you looked there? And if you haven't looked there, and I think you should look in the loft. And if it's not in the loft, I should look in the bins. So I'm just a bit of advice. I don't know what to say.
Placing this, I might be able to help you.
And I would like to say that I haven't got it.
I haven't got it, Lisa.
I have.
No. I've only got an album myself. I didn't have one until we reformed. So there we are. I didn't have it. So that's a good one. Shall we move on? So what's the next one? So Stan Notte, who's a great poet from Cork. Do you think four-minute telephones are God, I can't read that.
Was a prophetic name.
Prophetic name, yeah, when you chose it. Or did you just stood it down way too cool to ignore? I don't know what to think to that. I mean, it was a random pick choice, wasn't it? Really, in the end of the day, I remember it was on a crisp packet. The longest car in the world had 4 televisions safe in, and I think we originally was going to call it 4 televisions safe, and then we had this mad idea of calling it 4 million telephones and 1 million safes, which is just ridiculous. That would have been a much better. Later, live on stage, 4 million telephones and 1 million safes.
I must get you a copy of this German radio interview, Carl, because it's exactly what you said on the German radio station.
Oh, really?
In 1986, word for word.
Really?
Hey, no, really. I'll play it.
Is that the one that me and Rick did? Is that the one me and Rick did? It was funny because they asked us a question. That was very funny at the time. They asked us the questions and they said, what we're going to do, we're going to say them in German and you answer in English. So he said, okay, the next 3 questions are, where do you get your name from? Da, 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 da. And he said, are you okay with those 3 questions? And we go, and he goes, okay, right. And then when we do that, we'll say them in German. So just the thing, the big long German question, we're going, oh my God, what was the question in English?
The interview's really good, actually.
That was very mess. So
I remember at the time that there were also 4 million people who were deemed to be unemployed at the time.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think there was a feeling, whether it was coincidence, but there was some sort of feeling that represented something.
Yeah.
4 million
Well,
lost
that
people.
missed me. I've got to say, to be honest.
Certainly, Four Telephones didn't
Just the
seem.
crisps.
It was the crisps.
Yeah. And the rest of that,
I just felt guilty.
the crisp packet used to have little factoids, and it was the longest car in the world. Had 4 telephones and a safe, and both we had a song called "The Safe," which featured the longest car. So we got 3 things out of that. We got a song title, a song content, and a band title out of one factoid on the back of a crisp packet. I think that was.
We got some tasty crisps as well.
Yes, and
yeah.
You've got to watch crisps because there's so much saturated fat in the crisp, kids. So be careful about that. Be careful out there with the crisps, yeah.
They don't do that anymore. Was it the Bull and Chain in Lincoln, which is
in the Bull and Chain, which is now
Yeah.
flats.
It's
yeah.
now flats.
Really? So thank you for that. Thank you for that question, Stan. Right then, so there's a good one from Eddie Tatton here, who's obviously the bass player in the second line of Performing Telephone. So he's got a couple of questions. He said, loves the album cover. Who did that?
Richard.
Well, it's a long story. There was going to be an album cover, and the night before we went to print, Stuart and I didn't know what to do, so we cut up and arted lots of bits of paper, some of which I still have, the original bits of paper, and we put this mosaic together, and I think it represents pretty much our heads at the time.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know that. What was the original album going to be like then?
I don't know. We talked about all sorts of things, photographs, because we have so many lovely photographs.
Yeah.
Great photographs and things. And I think we just got to kind of what we're going to do. And it was right before we went to print it. And the back of the album, we did the photographs and we sat with letter set, which people may not remember, sticking the words down. Which is why
some of them aren't straight, are they? I know that because some of them aren't straight.
I know it's great. The label's good.
Yeah.
The label's nicely done.
Yeah.
Really good. So, and the second question, there's a few album questions. There's another one from Maury, who's a good friend of mine in Cork, and he sort of said, who did the album as well? So we've answered that one. So that was good as well. So the second question is a good one from Eddie. Each band member's biggest influences, and if they could be any band, past or present, which one?
Wow.
So band influences, and if you could be any band, past or present, which one? Juicy question, Eddie, and I think you could be nearly up there for the prize.
Wow.
We could have more than one prize, of course. But so biggest influence. So I can go round, I suppose. The biggest for me, I'm come from the punk head of things. I was really influenced by the punk movement. I guess, a lot of the kind of the Yes and Pink Floyd was going on, and I never felt it. I was part of that because it all seemed a bit too clever and fancy. And so I love the punk thing where you run a few chords and get out there. And I really love the first Clash album. I love the Damned. I love the Clash. I love the Stranglers early before they got all poppy. And then I got into like the Fall, and then I got into experimental things like Cabaret Voltaire, and I shared a love of Cabaret Voltaire and the Fall with Malcolm Tent as well. So that was my influence. Second part of the question, which band would it be in past or present? I wouldn't be in the Fall because he used to sack everybody, didn't he? You wouldn't last very long in the Fall. I think his fastest sacking was apparently one gig in the third song of the one gig. And he got rid of him after the third song of one gig. He said, it's not working. So I would be in the Fall. I would be into really the pre-punk band. I would love to be in, say, the New York Dolls. You'd have a lot of fun on tour with them. Or the Ramones, you get to wear a culture. I'd be in New York Dolls or Ramones, okay? Who's next? So your influences in which band you'd be in? Egg?
Well, I was influenced by, I think the beauty of this band was our influences were so diverse and different, and it was the way everything collided in the middle that made it interesting. I was listening to all sorts of stuff. I always liked Chicago blues, but I liked kind of a lot of English, fairly eccentric stuff. People like Ivor Cutler and the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. I was quite into King Crimson around that time as well, which was really kind of quite edgy and weird with the odd time signatures. And I think I brought a bit of that into the band.
Who would you join?
Who would I join? Well, now,
you'd be a great member of King Crimson, actually.
well, I remember listening to the record saying I'd really like to be in this band. Another record I listened to that really made me want to be part of that band was K.D. Lang's Ingenue album. I think the band on that is great and the arrangements and everything. Yeah.
Should be in there. What about you, Richard?
Well, at the time, I was really into Steve Wright and Philip Glass and things like that. And for my sins, I used to like Mike Oldfield.
That's a very I got for some of the early stuff is fantastic. I love that. I think that's okay.
I suppose if I was going to be for purely monetary reasons, I'd quite like to be in Coldplay. If they'd like to invite me, I'm free.
Free?
I think you could add something to Coldplay, Richard. Definitely. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely like to join Susan Boyle on stage. Oh, you know what I was going to say. No, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to get us doing a gig, and I think that's what it's about. Doing what you do, sort of thing. I've been on stage for a bit.
Oh, I can't wait for that as well. So thank you, Eddie. That's some good questions there. So we've got some good answers, hopefully. So Sidney Meeks, you're our good friend, poet, musician, all-round crazy man, but fantastic. Will writers and musicians subvert the clunky machinery of capitalism with their nonsense, or will it ultimately be down to a random act of a drunken squirrel? Give examples. Give examples. So I'm going to read that question again to quite know how to answer it. Will the writers and musicians subvert the clunky machinery of capitalism? Can we subvert the clunky machinery of capitalism? We can try, but I don't think we can. I hope we can, but I'm not sure we can subvert the clunky mechanism with our nonsense music. So I don't think we can. And will it be down to a drunken squirrel? Maybe. Have the squirrels got their own bars that they go to when everyone goes to sleep?
I think they eat old apples.
Do they?
Ah, that makes sense. Actually, cider.
Yes.
I do think the band was trying to subvert the clunky machinery of capitalism, and we certainly did it with nonsense. That's true for sure.
Did we do that though? I mean, I think we tried to do it, but did we subvert capitalism? I don't think we did, though. Did we?
I think Margaret Thatcher was very determined that we shouldn't.
Capitalism still lived and thrived, didn't it?
I think Margaret Thatcher was very determined that we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's what she said to me.
Yeah, she had.
I think we should. I think music should. I mean, I don't remember a serious point. Music should subvert the clunky mechanisms of capitalism. But that's the point, isn't it? But but does it win? I don't know.
Well, I think in simple terms, music is about cooperation, and capitalism is about individualism. So we're going to win.
Okay.
In the
end. You got two different answers there, Sid. I'm a bit defeated, and
I think our deconstructions of certain things, like we did an Oxfam piece, which was very sort of as far away from a commercial capitalistic view of pop music as you could possibly get. And some of the stuff we recorded quite recently was something like that.
I guess on a serious point, I'm being silly, but I guess on a serious point, it does. Everyone's got to keep trying, and that's the point, isn't it? Music is a great way of making people sit up and listen and think, I suppose, and that's a more of a serious response to that, isn't it? But I'm not sure about the squirrels.
I like a squirrel.
Interesting about the apples, Richard. That's a very good point, actually.
No,
are they kind of fermenting the apples for cider?
Yeah,
I like that. It's a very good point.
Very much.
It's true that hedgehogs generally like cat food. I don't know if that's relevant, but
it might be.
It's an interesting fact that you should remember.
Do cats like hedgehog food?
I don't know. You can buy hedgehog food though. I've seen it in the shop.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
We shouldn't need to do, should we? If we just leave the hedgehogs to eat what they should be eating,
Well,
not
they're worms.
fast food for hedgehogs.
Well, they kind of need a bit of help because they're struggling. They're kind of in decline.
But some capitalist person's making money out of the hedgehogs, though, aren't they?
They are, yeah, exploiting them.
We got a great question here from Mairead Kelly. Mairead, great friend of ours in Cork, harp player, all-round nice person. 4 telephones all rang at the same time. 600 of them were in the living room. 200,000 were in the kitchen. 500,000 in the hallway with a lovely telephone seat. The rest were in telephone boxes. Where was Mary when she answered the phone? That's a very good question, Ray, to be fair. You're right at the top there with that question, really. I'm not going to answer that first.
Well, I think Mary, judging by the evidence in the question, was actually down the garden digging for worms at the time.
That's why she didn't answer the phone. That's why she didn't answer the phone.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a clear answer then. We've answered it, Mairead.
She's in the garden.
Nick Savark, great album cover. Why so many telephones? Oh my God, here we go again.
There you go. Answer your.
But I think, Nick, it kind of, as we said before, it started with 4 and it kind of grew and grew. 4 wasn't nearly enough.
No.
It just grew exponentially until we had to put a stop to it and say that's enough telephones now. We can't go any further.
Where would you put them all? No good at all.
Yeah.
Oh, a good question here from my wife, Linda Plover. If I turned up in 1986, would you have let me into your gig? Linda would have been 12 years old. 12 years old.
She'd been 12.
She would have been 12, I think, at that point. So that wouldn't have worked, would it, at all on any level?
No,
and we didn't want to get all ages shows. Actually, she might have. She turned up to the Cathedral. She could have done.
The Cathedral.
Yeah, but there was some. I think there was some language that wasn't really suitable for children. That might have upset her or upset us.
Yeah. So I guess I'm not sure I would have wanted to meet my future wife at 12. I don't think that would have worked really.
Well, the Arboretum, of course, the Arboretum Open Air Festival.
Yeah.
There were people of all sorts of it. There were hundreds and hundreds of people of all sorts of it.
That's true. Right. Another question from Andrew Barnes-Jones, another 4 telephones related. If there are 4 million telephones, where are the other 3,999,995 of otherwise engaged? So there's no clear answer to that, Andrew, is there?
They might be distributed in crisp packets as a free giveaway throughout the world, perhaps. The golden telephone.
As long as they're made of wood.
Yeah. It's called the golden telephone, and there are only 399,995 available. And if you find one, you get to keep the crisps.
Oh, like the blue packet of salt, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Now then, another Nina Marie Johnson here. If you had 4 million telephones, where would you store them? And how would you select your favourite? Richard, would you like to answer that one?
I would store 4 million telephones down my pants.
Good answer.
I think I'd probably put them.
Because then you'd hear me coming from a distance.
I might well put them in a Dropbox, actually.
I would hire some kind of a warehouse to keep them all, because I'll be so rich from the reforming with the band, you know what I mean? And I'll be going to make so much money from the reforming, then I can just basically hire a big warehouse and just keep all my telephones there. And I can just go in there and look at them all occasionally.
And forget about subverting the clunky machinery of capitalism.
All the hedgehogs.
So thank you so much, everybody, for your questions. I mean, some of them are just, were great. Some of them were, ridiculous. Some of them are just, okay, and some of them are fantastic. But thank you for making the effort and writing in. The social media response has been great, hasn't it, guys? I really appreciate everyone's look.
Yeah.
The single's going to be out today, the 16th of April. Now the Bandcamp page will be open, so this is a downloadable single only. We just thought we'd just do the details here, guys, at the end. Yeah, it's a downloadable single only. There's no physical copies, but if you go to 4 Mean Telephone's official, and there's a few other sites going on that we're not running, so it's 4 Mean Telephone's official Bandcamp is the place to go and to download the single. As I said, we've got there's a video which will be sharing at the end of this at the end of these questions. Now, hopefully, we're going to finish talking, and the video will kick in. We hope, and that will be great as well. And that was put together by Malcolm Tent, and that's a great thing. We hope to do another, and we hope to do another single, and we hope to. And we've got a bunch of tracks we want to release as well. So please keep in touch with us with the social media pages, and it's been an absolute joy. The four of us, Malcolm Tent's not here. Malcolm Tent's been working on the video, so the four of us are actively organising the releases. So the four of us are doing that, and as I said, Malcolm Tent's not here today. So yeah, I thank you so much on behalf of me. It's been great, guys, linking up with you again, and everybody else. We look forward to sharing the old tracks with you, and we look forward to performing live with you as get at the end of the year. Guys, would you like to say anything before we finish?
Have a good spring.
Boing. Are you going to play us out, Carl?
Guys, it's been a pleasure. So hopefully we will go now smoothly into the video of Goats. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. Well, we don't love you. I don't know you.
No.
I like you.
But we wish you well.
Yes.
Wish you well. Goodbye.
to do with you. I don't have to be with you, but I want you. Working on a farm together. Only there's some chickens. It's funny. Stick your head in a sack. My friends don't sit on chairs. My friends don't go anymore. But it might be.